Since the E3 conference was over last month, I wanted to do a video game topic. I did one for Sonic for the anniversary, and I already did a Video Memories episode. I didn't want to talk about Nintendo's lineup of games during E3, so that won't be included in it. However, I found an article online, and I thought this would be the one to make a video on it. Nintendo president says the company considering possible future mini consoles. When I read that, I knew that this wasn't a total shock, but it could happen in the future. Both the NES Classic Edition and the SNES Classic Edition were a pretty good success for Nintendo. The reason why is because they were retro consoles. NES came out in the 80s and the Super NES came out in the 90s. So, Nintendo made them and shrink them smaller. I am going to do a future video on both of the classic editions. But for now, I just want to focus on the future possibility. If they can make more retro mini consoles, that would be great. Because people grew up with the consoles. Not only Nintendo consoles, but other consoles are making them minis like Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx-16, Neo Geo, and even PlayStation 1. But right now I want to focus on Nintendo itself. I want to mention two consoles that need to be as part of the Classic Edition mini style. The Nintendo 64 and the Gamecube. It's too soon for the Wii, and it's way too soon for the Wii U since those two ended. But right now, I am focusing on the two consoles. Also, Game Boy won't be allowed because the article says consoles, not handhelds. Let's start with the Nintendo 64 first. Yeah, I didn't talk about the console since it turned 25 this year, and I haven't made a video on the N64 because people would tell me in the comments. But I had to save the N64 related until that article, so I think it's good timing for a video. I had memories with the N64 when I was a kid, but not major as the Super Nintendo or the Gamecube. But I will talk about the games my brother and I played in a future video. But anyways, the Nintendo 64 debuted in 1996, being the third console from Nintendo, and as of now, Nintendo hasn't announced when the N64 Classic Edition is coming out. My guess is it might come out the first half of 2020s. As I'm looking at the fan-made pictures of the N64 Classic Edition, it does look cool, and for the controller, it'd be medium-sized. Also, make it one controller in the pack, not two, because the Super NES Classic Edition had two controllers. For the price, well, it's going to be less than $100. NES Classic Edition was $60, and SNES Classic Edition was $80. So, maybe in between price, or go at $80. And now for the games, because, trust me, I have to make a prediction on the list. The NES had 30 games, while the Super NES had 21 games, with a never-played game Star Fox 2 added. Well, Super Mario 64 has to be on there, obviously, so that leaves either 19 or 29 games. Mario Kart 64 is very likely. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is likely since Zelda is popular, and I'm okay putting two Zelda games on there. Star Fox 64? Likely. Yoshi's Story is likely. Super Smash Bros. Has to be likely because it was the first in a series and it started with the Nintendo characters battling each other. Donkey Kong 64 is likely. Paper Mario is likely. Kirby 64 has to be likely because the other Kirby games were on the classic editions. Diddy Kong Racing will be likely even though the publisher Rare owns the game. And to the almost likely to not likely, Pilot Wings 64 and Wave Race 64 could be possible, but I'm leaning towards unlikely. Pilot Wings on Super Nintendo didn't make it to the Classic Edition. Cruis'n USA could be a likely, and with the recent announcement of a new cruising game coming, they have to put Cruis'n USA on the N64 Classic Edition. Some of the Star Wars games on N64 could be on there, but I'll let people decide to pick. The Mario Party games are likely, but again, it's hard to choose. There are 3 games, but there's no way to fit all 3. the same way the Super Nintendo only put the first Donkey Kong Country game in the Classic Edition. So either Mario Party 2 or 3. Speaking of Mario spin-offs, what about Mario Golf and Mario Tennis? Those two could be likely if they could fit. So that leaves the two Banjo-Kazooie games, the Pokemon games on the N64, and GoldenEye 007. For Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, it's more of a likely-unlikely chance. The reason why it could be unlikely because they have been re-released on Rare Replay on Xbox One. Now, it could be likely because Nintendo did publish those games, but Rare owns the rights to the series. But I had to mention the Banjo-Kazooie games because the games were iconic then. The Pokemon games has to be a likely, but I can only pick two games to fit in the Classic Edition. I went with Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Puzzle League. I know it's weird putting that one on there. In fact, Kirby's Dream Course was added to the Super Nintendo Classic Edition randomly, so I think Pokemon Puzzle League would be a fine choice. Pokemon Snap has to be there, because it's more popular. Now for Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 and Hey You Pikachu, it's going to be unlikely, mainly because they come with accessories. The first Pokemon Stadium has a transfer pack, an accessory that will play Pokemon games on Game Boy, and Hey You Pikachu comes with a microphone where you can speak to Pikachu. So yeah, those three are unlikely, but the other two could be likely. Now with GoldenEye 007, that game needs to be on the list, which, yeah, it was published by Nintendo, it was based off the movie, and it was the third best-selling N64 game. So I highly doubt that it has to appear in the N64 Classic Edition. So yeah, that is all games for my predictions of N64 Classic Edition. Now for the Gamecube. Well, it's going to happen if they bring the Classic Edition. Plus, I have so many memories with the Gamecube. I won't mention what games they could add to the Gamecube Classic Edition in the video. So yeah, N64 and the Gamecube will get their mini-sized Classic Editions. I can't say when, but Nintendo wants to focus on their recent console and whatever they have on their sleeve. But for now, these are my predictions. That is all for the video, and pretty soon I might make some predictions in media, but this is the one I wanted to do the most. I'll see you guys next month.